yeah, I'm open. I'm open to whatever. Whoever wants to use me, I'm willing to listen. But like I said, I've been doing doing my own thing for all these years. You know what I mean? If it stays that way, I'm fine with that too.
What's up, Bengal fans? It's your host, Joey Carney, and I want to thank you for clicking on this video. It was an amazing experience, and I can't wait for you to watch the full episode and enjoy it just as much as I did filming it. Now, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe down below to stay up to date with all the Angles activity right here on YouTube. Now enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Angle Podcast. My guest at this time, he's a former United States champion, former Intercontinental champion. He holds the honor of unifying the WWE Tag Team titles, but beware because he spits in the face of people who don't want to be cool. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carlito. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you guys doing?
Good. I appreciate you coming on in these crazy times to talk about your career in wrestling. So without further ado, let's jump into some questions. And the first thing that always comes to mind regarding you is the catchphrase. I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. It's one of those things that it's a lifetime catchphrase where I still find myself telling people you're not cool. And I would like to know where that catchphrase came from or who really created it for you.
That's a good question. That's such a long time ago. I think what was it for? Oh, I think it was for the intro of my entrance thing. I think they just had me come up with different things to say, different lines or whatever. People say, tell us your catchphrase. I didn't know that was my catchphrase. I never considered that my catchphrase, but apparently it is my catchphrase. But I think it was just one of those things where they just had me just shoot out different lines and then see what kind of stuck.
And a lot of times in WWE or in wrestling in general, props are used, and for you it was the apple, and you're one of the only ones, if not I think you're the only one who's ever gotten an apple over. So was that an idea from you, or was it just creative that handed you the apple and you kind of just went with it?
I think that was a Vince thing, because basically I realized years after that all my vignettes were just Razor Ramon rehashed vignettes, and then in one of those he spat, I think it was something at some guy, and then mine ended up being I was at a fruit stand and I ended up spitting at the fruit vendors an apple. I don't know what fruit Razor was using, but anyway, when Vince looked at it, he saw that part of spitting the apple, and he said he liked that. He wanted me to keep on doing it. I was like, yeah, that seems like it could work. I'm the one doing the spin, right? So yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah, of course, as long as it doesn't happen to you.
Right, exactly.
When you came into WWE in 2004, it was Carlito, Caribbean Cool. And throughout that time, I think they ever told you about the different names that they had for you, or was it always Carlito, Caribbean Cool? Because you eventually just went to Carlito. So did they ever explain to you that transition of the name?
Yeah, they always wanted something with cool, and then Carlos is my real name, so kind of a play on that. And then they told me that eventually they would cut down my name just to Carlito, but just I don't know. I guess at that time that was the fad to just have a bunch of names. So they just threw that together. It says, all right, Carlito Caribbean Cool. So, okay, I can go with that. And then eventually, just ended up being Carlito. I think they still do that, right? Don't guys start off with like 4 names and then all of a sudden they just go by one?
Yeah, we had Andrade, Cien Almas, and all these other guys that come in with 5 different names, and the fans like to call it the main roster touch, where they just shorten their name, and for you just Carlito Caribbean Cool to straight Carlito,
which is better too. Like for all those up and coming wrestlers, remember you got to think about autographs. So the shorter your name or the less names you have, the easier it is for you.
Yeah, and it's easier, to chant and to really just remember.
That's true. Yeah,
it works.
Exactly.
It works overall. I guess better for you. But honestly, I could talk for hours about favorite moments of yours in your WWE career. One specifically was the feud that you had with John Cena. Coming in, really just coming in, jumping into that feud, and that heel work was honestly masterclass. Really, I mean, going against John Cena is a thing in itself, but to come in as a heel and win in your first match against Cena Do you have a favorite moment or a favorite, I guess, segment or whatever you want to call it during your feud with Cena?
Oh, wow, it's going so back, so long ago.
Because it
Just
kind of
that whole
faded
thing.
out everyone, like you had the feud and you always came back to Cena, throughout your career. So
Right, yeah. Cena seemed to be, my rival. But it was a good rival to have. Yeah, just every time I work with him, and just to see him get better over the years and just see him, grow to this huge megastar nowadays. For me, it was just a big learning experience for me.
of course, and coming in, like I said, your debut match, you won the United States Championship, which is actually kind of unusual to see happen in WWE. What was the plan, or what did they at least tell you backstage as to why they were putting the title on you so soon?
I don't think it's because I was second generation, and just something to get me going, I guess, to give me a nice debut. And what better way to debut than that? So it was just kind of some way to, I guess, to make an impact right from the start. I guess they felt I already had the in-ring ability, so I didn't need time to see. You can always get better, of course, but at least I was decent enough at that time to kind of carry that.
And the same thing actually happened when you were drafted to Raw. You came in that same night, you won the Intercontinental Championship. So I think that was kind of a trend that they had going with you because, like you said, second generation in-ring talent was immaculate. It was just a great, overall business decision to put the title on Carlito. But at WrestleMania 21, that was kind of your WrestleMania debut. You're involved with Roddy Piper, Stone Cold, and that kind of led to Carlito's Cabana, which was a great segment to see on Monday Night Raw. When they presented you with that idea of having your own talk show, how did you kind of approach it? Like, what were your thoughts, hearing all these ideas?
No, it was great. I was thankful because if I remember correctly, I had just dislocated my shoulder, I think, a couple months into my after my debut from SmackDown. So it was a way to keep me on TV. So yeah, I was, I knew I could talk. So I was just thankful they were going to keep me on TV because, the worst thing you want, especially as a new guy coming in, is to get all this momentum, all of a sudden just get hurt, and then you're shelved for who knows how long, and then you kind of get lost in the shuffle again. So I was just happy that they kept me in the mix.
Yeah, and during that time, I think the only shows that they had, talk shows, really, I mean, obviously Piper's Pit, but I think it was Jericho's show, talk show, and I mean, I think that was it at that time, and it was pretty cool to see them like extend the talk show idea into WWE programming, especially with you, where you had such a great reaction, whether babyface or heel, with the fans. It was really cool to see all that play out. But in 2005, you got drafted to Raw, and you were featured in the traditional Survivor Series match, really the 5-on-5, I guess, or 4-on-4. Before that, a couple days leading into that, we lost Latino Eddie Guerrero, who was scheduled to be in that match. Do you remember anything going on backstage? One being that obviously Eddie passed away, but two, what they were going to do with that match and the pay-per-view specifically?
Oh, I have no idea. That was above my pay grade. I wasn't privy to that information.
Yeah,
I don't even. Yeah, I just remember, everybody it was just a sad time, because Eddie was just a great guy. No, not just in the ring, but just always in the back. It was a good mentor, especially for me. I mean, he helped me out a lot.
yeah.
Being another Latino, he always used to help me out, and but yeah, that information that was I wasn't privy to that.
Okay, and throughout that time of before Eddie's passing, do you have any like fond memories or any stories that you could share that you guys had together or shared?
Yeah, it was just cool to that just him and Ray being other Latinos there, and they welcomed the end. I mean, they took care of me, they looked out for me instead of hear those stories of people trying to like bury guys and stuff, but no, they were always willing to help me along with whatever I needed. So I always appreciate them for that.
Yeah, anybody that I talk to in the wrestling business always looks at them as like the best mentors that they could have had really just in general in pro wrestling. So I mean, I guess it's really cool to hear about Eddie. But fast forwarding to a feud that you had that involved really Randy Orton and Trish Stratus. And I remember at that time the springboard RKO off the top that Randy hit on you. Do you have that? To me, honestly, is one of those standout moments, not only for you but for out of nowhere RKOs. Do you have a favorite moment or opponent, should I say, with your time in WWE?
Yeah, I mean, it was, just worked so many guys.
Yeah.
Probably, it's too many to mention, but probably, of course, it's John Cena, of course.
Yeah.
Working Mysterio was always fun. Shelton, just a bunch of guys I was always happy to work with.
And do you have
even though, of course, with the Nature Boy, of course, it was cool to wrestle a guy that my dad had wrestled. So that, yeah, like I said, there's so many of them.
and to tag with Rick too? I mean, that must have been awesome to do that.
No, it was great. Yeah, of course.
Do you have a favorite title win or title you held within your career?
Trying to win. Maybe probably the one I with my brother when we unified the tag team championships at WrestleMania. I just looking back now, I was thinking it was a real cool moment, to have that and share that with my brother.
Of course. And that was kind of leading into my next question. You have such a long lineage of family in pro wrestling. And before tagging with your brother, or before he even really got into the WWE, did you have the dream to either like compete against or even tag with someone in your bloodline?
Yeah, of course. It would be cool to. Yeah, I remember we did in Puerto Rico. I think one time I tagged with my brother and my dad. So that was cool. As of tagging, I don't know. I always saw myself as a singles wrestler, but of course, yeah, of course, I was happy to tag with my blood, but yeah, I never saw myself as a tag guy.
And tagging with your brother, I mean, led to an amazing moment in your career. Talking about unifying the tag team titles at WrestleMania. Looking back at that moment now, what does it mean to you? Like, do you appreciate it more today than you did before?
Probably, yeah. Because like I said, you're going 100 miles an hour back then. You don't have time to sit and reflect. So now these older days, as they say, I've been able to look back and think about certain different things and appreciate it more.
Yeah, especially, I mean, that being a huge WrestleMania moment for you. Everyone looks for those WrestleMania moments, and to do it with your family, creating history. I mean, that must have been a highlight, like we talked.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great that they got cut off the main show, but other than that, it was great.
and talking about being cut off the show, I know that that's something that you've experienced before, not just once, and it happens quite often to superstars, especially in big shows like WrestleMania. What's the process like of, waiting in Gorilla, waiting to go out, and then they tell you, oh, it's being cut. Like, what is that mindset of preparing, not necessarily preparing for that, but for that moment where they tell you it's not happening tonight?
Well, it's different stages because sometimes you might know, a couple of weeks out. Sometimes I think with that one, I think they made it not told like 2 or 3 days before, or sometimes it could happen the same day of the show. You never know. Yeah, for guys it kind of sucks because you work, you bust your tail the whole year, and not only that, the worst part is, of course, the check. The check goes from a certain amount to all the way down to a real, well, not a low amount, but a lot lower than what you'd get for being on the show. So that really is what stings the most to guys.
I think the fans don't necessarily, they don't see that part, and they also don't realize that part as well. Being that, okay, if they get bumped from a certain position on the card, there's also a pay either raise or decrease depending on where they're putting you on the card. So that is really interesting to know that actually does happen when they sort of say bump people from different positions or even off the card. But in 2007, you asked for your release from WWE, and if you don't mind me asking, what was the reason behind that? Because I know that you would have asked a few times for the release, but really, what was the reasoning behind that, and kind of what convinced you to stay?
Just creative differences. I knew I didn't like the way my character was going. Wasn't getting any direction. I didn't like being a babyface at that time. Well, not that I didn't like. I just felt it was a mistake to make Carlito, because Carlito wasn't a babyface. You know what I mean? He's a heel character. Yeah, he's likable and stuff, but he's not a babyface. You know what I mean? He's a guy that. And then they started putting me with girls, and I'm like, bro. My difference was Carlito's the guy that talks all this, this and lies about being with all these girls, but really, in reality, they goes, they don't like him. But it's like when he starts getting the girls, like, okay, now I just felt like they ruined the whole Carlito character. So I was like, I'd rather just kind of like, I just wasn't feeling it. So I didn't want to do something I didn't feel. And then, you get told different things. You get convinced to stay here and there. I'm not gonna go into all that or bury stuff or whatever. But I ended up staying a couple times. I was told stuff, something to come to fruition. But at the same time, I knew better too. So, it's on me too. But yeah, it just basically comes down to just creative differences, really.
And being in that mindset where you're not necessarily happy with one with your career, but also two, the company that you're with, knowing that there's really stuff that's out of your control. What's that mindset like? Going to work every day, keeping that morale up for yourself and that positivity.
It's hard. I don't think I did. I mean, some guys, they say, hear these stories about these guys that persevered, and they gave them this, and they said, "Oh well, I'm gonna still, I'm gonna take this. All right, I'm gonna still strive and whatever." I took the opposite route. I'm like, man, like screw these people, screw this, or screw whatever. You know what I mean? It's I just felt like, no man, because at one point I did start like really trying my best or whatever, and it was going nowhere. So I was like, okay, it's not worth it's not worth it to try to give all this effort, because they know it's just useless. You know what I mean? It's wasted effort and energy. So I'd rather just try to find my way out, go back, regroup, and then hopefully start something up again.
And that honestly is like a big topic today in pro wrestling, because there's so many new options available to superstars that they are vocal about. Oh, I don't like my position on the card. I don't like the scripted promos. I don't like this, that, the other thing. And there's different options. So to hear that it happened, that it has been happening for a while, and it does affect your mindset going into work, trying to do the best thing that you can. So I do completely understand your point there.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm not the first or the last. This happened throughout wrestling. Through that's why I don't like hold a grudge or anything. Just another guy that that's, I'm not the first, I'm not the last. You know what I mean? It'll happen to other guys too, but it's just the way the business is.
Exactly. And after you left the company, Primo and Epico began tagging. They were labeled the Colognes. And I heard throughout all that time, there was like rumors of maybe you're possibly coming back, doing a trio group, whatever fans were, or the dirt sheet said. Was that the case? Were there any talks to come back and like join them and do like a trio group or?
Yeah, back in 2015. But I didn't agree on the money.
Yeah.
And then I gave a counter offer, and they decided not even to make a counter offer. They said, thank you, but you be on your way. I was like, all right, well, what are you gonna do? It's it's their choice, so it's fine.
Yeah. And in January of this year, in 2021, you were advertised for Legends Night. And I know you get these questions all the time, but I just like to hear the in detail responses. You're advertised for Raw Legends Night, amongst other names like Candice Michelle. And a few of you didn't appear on the show, and a lot of people were saying, oh, there was dirt sheet said there was travel issues for you or something like that. Obviously, that's not the truth. What happened there? What was the idea they had for you?
I was called a couple of days before, and they said, we're going to cancel you for Legends Night. We think it'd be better if we brought you in for the Rumble. I think it was Hurricane was a backstage producer. I think it was his idea or something. He pitched it. And they decided, it'd be a lot better if we brought you back for the Rumble. I think it'd be much better. I was totally, what do you call it? I totally preferred that. It was, for me, I'd rather be at the Rumble anyway. So that's, that works perfectly. So it worked out for both of us.
Of course. And at Legends Night, they usually just, or from what they did, really, it wasn't really like Legends wrestling in the ring. It was more just showcasing, like backstage segments. So to see you in the Royal Rumble, I mean, I definitely think was a bigger deal, and overall worked out for you, really. But from that scheduled appearance on Raw Legends Night, there was a lot of buzz all around the internet with your name, bringing it back up in the WWE picture. Same thing. I actually had spoken to Candice Michelle. We did an interview, and she spoke about that too. And people were left, right, wherever, emailing her, texting her. Her name was all over the place, and the same was for you. What was the reaction to seeing the fans like react so positively to seeing you maybe coming back to WWE?
Yeah, man, it was great. It was humbling. I didn't know what to expect. After being gone for over 10 years, and not being on any kind of TV, or at least not wrestling TV for all that time. I was wondering that they'd still remember me, if they'd still care if I came back. So yeah, I was excited to get that to get that kind of response after all these years. It was very I was very grateful for it, and I was happy to be received that way. I was just thankful for that. Everybody still cares. At least most people do.
Most is good. Most is good.
Well, most is good enough. You can't get everybody. So I can live with that.
And a significant part of the return that you had at the Royal Rumble, and I'm going to get into the Royal Rumble in a little while, but the return was not only significant because of that, but because of the shape that you were in. I mean, it was incredible to see you in that shape. not saying you weren't in good shape before, but just to see you in that shape, what was the mindset behind, getting into that show? What could be really the best shape of your life?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, at the same time, it was. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know if it was an insult or if it was a compliment the way people were reacting to my physique. But like I said again, I've been like this for years. Problem is, I haven't been anywhere, so nobody's really seen. Nobody's seen me. But yeah, it was a couple years after my release in 2010. I just decided I wanted to. I had the time on my hands now. I thought, you know what, let me just do something different. Let me just get in the best shape I can and be something. I think on Twitter I was doing the body guy thing for a little bit, which I, just having fun with it. And I kind of just started taking it serious, and then it evolved from there. And then since then, yeah, I've kind of been, like I said, like it's weird because for me it's nothing new, but it was funny. Just I forgot that people hadn't seen me, for all these years, so they didn't know, But yeah, I've been like this for a couple of years now.
And then after the return, I thought back and I'm thinking about Glow and all the other TV shows and things that I saw you on. I was like, oh wow, this isn't really something new for him. I mean, you were in that shape, like you said. Before that, we just didn't get to see it. So
right.
I think it was a big shock for fans to see the transition, over a 10-year period since you were in WWE.
Yeah.
But you've said that there were names like MVP, Shelton, and Bobby Lashley, all these friends of yours kind of beginning the process really to bring you in. You said Hurricane for the Rumble. And when we saw MVP return in 2020, he had the match. He was in the Rumble, had the match on Raw, and then was signed to like some sort of producer role or something, and then transition out of that. And it seemed like there was a trend starting there, bringing in former talent, kind of doing the same thing. When you were first approached about the Rumble, what was the scheduled plan? Like, was it just a Rumble, or what did they initially offer you for that?
Yeah, it was just the Rumble, and then I think the day before the Rumble, they said, "Can you do Raw too?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever you guys need." So yeah, then I did Raw the following night. Yeah, and then that's all we talked about was just the Raw and the Rumble.
And I don't know if it's fans who create these stories or if it's the dirt sheets, wherever they get their information. But there was reports saying that you were offered like a trial or something, and then a producer role.
I heard something about a producer role. Yeah, but after I've had no communication since the Raw appearance.
Okay, and when you had that match on Monday Night Raw, Elias Riker and Jeff Hardy, what was like your mindset like being back after 10 years on Monday Night Raw? Like, was it all full circle for you, or what went through your mind? Yeah,
well, it was great. It was weird. I thought after these years it'd be different, but after the first being there, like about first 20 minutes, half an hour, I just started feeling like the old days back. And of course, there's a lot of new faces, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that have been there that even before I was there. So it was great seeing that they're still there, and I felt at home within about half an hour. I felt like no time had gone by.
And obviously, I mean, you're not at the WWE now. Was there any contract offered, or what happened with you being there and you not being there?
That's it. I was there and now I'm not there. That's all. There's been no communication since then.
Got it. And are you open to signing with another promotion? I mean, if the deal makes sense for you, being that there's so many different options today.
Yeah, I'm open. I'm open to whoever wants to use me. I'm willing to listen. But like I said, I've been doing my own thing for all these years. You know what I mean? If it stays that way, I'm fine with that too.
And with all those rumors circulating about the producer role, is that ever something that maybe crossed your mind? Like when you were thinking about ending your in-ring career, would that be something of interest to you, a producer role?
Yeah, producer role, trainer role, all that kind of sounds intriguing. You know what I mean? I just have to listen. I'm willing to listen to whatever at this point. But like I said, yeah, I mean, I think those would be interesting, just helping out the younger guys and help them develop, which I think would kind of be a new, something new for me, something that I think I'd find a lot of fun to do.
And you were featured in, I don't want to say AEW content, but Sammy Guevara, the vlogs and all that stuff, being the Elite. There was a short thing of you in there. Were there any talks, with All Elite Wrestling AEW to possibly bring you in?
No talks with AEW either.
Wow.
Yeah.
Surprised
I mean,
everybody.
I don't know. It's not, it is what it is, man. I don't know.
Yeah. And being from Puerto Rico, being a Puerto Rican superstar, it must have been awesome to see Damian Priest and Bad Bunny showcased through WrestleMania season. Really a big part of WrestleMania this year, and bringing in the Latin audience, a huge part of it. Was that like, what was that feeling to see them like proudly waving the Puerto Rican flag? Like, what did you think of all that?
No, that was great to see. My fellow Islanders, doing something on Raw every week, and then doing a showcase on WrestleMania, and then hearing the rave reviews that they gave Bad Bunny for his performance.
Yeah,
I was very happy for those two.
And recently, there's been some, with all the WWE releases going on here and there, Mickie James brought something to light that a lot of superstars have experienced over the years, including the trash bags. WWE sending them their stuff and whatever her situation was. Is this something that ever happened to you, or did you know existed before, like when you were released the first time?
I don't know. When I was released, it wasn't kind of on bad terms on each side. So I don't think I even got it. I don't even think I got wished well in my future endeavors.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So I don't know. Like, but yeah, so like I said, my release was deserved. So I got no complaints about that. It's like I said, but too, like the way society and the stuff, it's stuff's changed. Like back then, you might see it now, like whoa, there's a lot of stuff that was going on that, but just with the times it changes. You know what I mean? It's the way things were, and then it's the way things are now. Just with if you look back on all these people that get canceled and stuff, but back in the day, kind of like it's a big deal. Now you see like, oh my god, like we kind of look back at our own behavior sometimes, like wow, we were like that, I mean, like wow, there's something wrong with us. But you go by and hopefully things get better. And I think things in WWE, the backstage, especially after that, I think was a wake up call. I think things will get better about for all companies in wrestling.
Yeah, and from that situation, I mean, they really did. They made some changes here and there, released some people, and trying to be better, really. So I guess it was something that needed to be brought to light and really just discussed into the universe. But at the end of my interviews, I like to ask the same question to all my guests, and it's really when your in-ring career is complete, whenever it is for you, what do you want your legacy to be when you're done with professional wrestling?
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess hopefully that inspired other Latino kids growing up maybe get into this business. Like I said, it kind of sucks that my prime was missed. You know what I mean? Because I left when I was like 31, I think. So all that was I could have done a bunch of stuff or a lot more, but other than that, I don't know. Hopefully that they, whatever small part they took, they enjoyed it, and hopefully inspired people to, especially like I think at least from the Latino culture, especially Puerto Rican kids.
Yeah.
They use me as an example of, at least my in-ring stuff of, something they want to, when they want to be wrestlers that, somebody they can look up to.
And now that we're discussing, your career and legacy and things like that, coming really full circle, across the board, if you were to come back and sign with the promotion, is there anybody that you know of out there that you would want to work with? Like, is there like a top superstar that you think that's the match I want to have?
Not really. I think I can go out there and, mainly my thing is just go out there and be able to entertain people with where I'm working with. I mean, it's not really about who I'm working. It's just what, they can get out of me and I can get out of them, and what we can do to create some excitement with the audience.
Of course. And for all the fans watching and listening right now, where can they find more of Carlito, whether on social media or website or anything that you're promoting?
Yeah, my Twitter and my Instagram are at Lito Colon 279, LITO COLON 279. And I try to post stuff. I'm not the most what do you call it? I don't do karaoke videos or TikTok things and stuff. I try to or just doing random things. I try to do something that I feel if I post it's entertaining than just a random, hey, woke up today, sun is shining or something. I don't know, just to me, as I don't care about that. Seeing that from another person, I don't see that. Why would anybody would care that about me? So I try to do. I don't post much, but when I do, I try to hopefully make it, somewhat entertaining.
And is there anything that you can leave us off with that what the fans can expect from you going forward? Any new projects or anything, or just wrestling related?
Nothing. I like to move in silence, man. You know what I mean? Wrestling wise, there's nothing really going on right now. I got other stuff going on, but you know, it'll when it comes out, it'll come out. So I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. When I was looking through footage, you know, for questions and things to ask you, so many like memories came back from your career in WWE and really just in general. And I have to say, this is one of my favorite interviews that I've done because just, you know, you being Carlito, one of my favorite superstars, you know, from the 2000s. It was an honor and pleasure to really be able to speak with you, and hope sometime we can do it again. And I really do appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
And before you go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below to stay up to date with the next big interview right here on the Angle Podcast.